This chapter discusses the three research methodologies: quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods. In addition, there's information about the concept of worldviews and the impact of worldviews on research. The definition that I want you to look closely at is philosophical assumptions. The main focus of this learning connects to that concept. The three research methodologies are qualitative or qual. Remember, think words. Quantitative or quant. Think numbers. And mixed, numbers and words. This slide highlights the main concepts about qualitative research. There's a focus on understanding the why. Things emerge as the research develops. There's more flexibility in qualitative research. This slide highlights the concepts about quantitative research. You're testing a theory. It's more structured. Numbers are involved. The sample or population's larger. You're performing statistical analyses. You're trying to determine the what. This slide discusses mixed. We'll delve deeper into these three methodologies shortly in the course. Creswell discusses how these three components, worldviews, the research design, and the methodology interact. The worldview of the researcher, and I want you to understand your worldview, can impact decisions made during the development of the study, the design chosen, the method chosen, as well as the interpretation of the results. You must be in tune with your own biases to make sure the study is not irreparably harmed. Here's an example. I was asked to join a committee. The study was about a new concept, a homeschool cooperative, a homeschool school. When I read that parents could choose what days their students could attend school, I was alarmed, relating to my experience as a public school teacher. After it was explained that the parents were the teachers at the school, but may not teach every day all day, and they could select what days to teach, and the students could select what days to attend, I wondered how there was any continuity. It was explained that there was a curriculum, and if a student did not attend a particular day, the parent was responsible for teaching the material at home. My bias automatically jumped to these parents at this type of school, which they are very rare, were probably in the top socioeconomic bracket. The doc student was interested in the scores of students that these students had on SAT or ACT. My question was, how long have these students attended this type of school? Or how long have they been homeschooled? In the event the students spent most of their education in a public school, their academic prowess could not be attributed to this particular type of school. These are the four common worldviews. Post-positivist connect to the scientific method, and in science, absolutes can be questioned. They're generally quantitative thinkers. They like to identify and quantify a problem. They assess the cause. Think experiment when you see this. Constructivists are more qualitative. They like to construct meaning. They seek to understand. The transformative worldview is tied to social or political issues. There's usually an underlying agenda. Not saying that's a bad thing. Believe that the research should lead to a social reform. They feel post-positivists are too structured, and they feel like constructivists do not delve to the depths needed to make the change. A pragmatist is practical. They believe the research should lead to solutions to real problems that can be actually applied. They're associated with mixed methods. They like to know the what and the why. So let's apply this learning. A post-positivist is connected to the scientific method. Things can be questioned. There's no absolute truth for all circumstances. They're generally quantitative thinkers. They like to identify and quantify a problem, assess the cause. When you hear this, think experiment. An experimental design would have a very large sample, and subjects would be randomly assigned to either a control group or treatment group. So this researcher wants to measure the change or impact of the treatment. Therefore, a pretest and post-test may be involved. So an example is a researcher that is interested in comparing the impact of 3 different reading programs implemented in 3rd grade with below grade level students. A constructivist is more qualitative. They like to construct meaning. They seek to understand. An ethnography is associated with anthropology and sociology. The researcher wants to understand shared patterns of behavior in a natural setting, usually a long-term immersive study. You can see how this worldview impacts this type of work. So this researcher may be interested in the experiences of students who live in a remote mountain village and are then sent to a residential secondary school in an urban location. A transformative worldview is tied to a social or political issue. They believe that the research should lead to social reforms. They feel the post-positivists are too structured and marginal populations are left out. Feel like constructivists do not delve to the depths needed to make a change. A narrative design seeks to tell the story. It comes out of the humanities. So this researcher may be interested in impacting policies and procedures that support African American males who are attending college, since there is a wide discrepancy between graduation rates of African American males and African American females. Pragmatists are practical. They think research should lead to solutions to problems that can actually be applied. It's associated with mixed methods, the what and the why. The pragmatists will make research decisions based on what is best for this setting. An example is an identified problem in a clinic, like the initial check-in process, determining some options and then testing the options at various clinics. One option may work best in Clinic A, while another option may work best in Clinic B. So the point is, you should reflect and be aware of your biases, your tendencies in your thinking, and know that your underlying beliefs may impact your study if you do not account for their impact. Here's an example. I acquired a student whose professor left VSU. She had recently retired, to let you know her age range, the student. She had never been afforded the opportunity to hold a leadership position. In her introduction to her proposal, she discussed the abundance of excellent school administrators that were available but had never had the opportunity to be administrators. I told her that claiming someone that had never held the position was excellent at the position was a problem. It showed bias. I told her they could be trained and they could be credentialed, but we couldn't pass judgment on their effectiveness until they had the opportunity to walk in those shoes. She held the belief that a certain population had been underrepresented in her school district. As we talked, I relayed that underrepresentation could be and needed to be verified through data to obtain some data for us. After the first go at looking at the real numbers, it was discovered that the underrepresented population currently held 66% of the principal positions and 50% of the AP positions. After a second look, she identified that another ethnicity had only one AP position ever in the district. Her bias in her worldview and her tendency toward qualitative thinking had impacted her vision of reality. This cost her about a year to come to terms with.